David had poured his heart and soul into his startup for over a year. He had sacrificed so much, his time, his social life, and his savings. But despite all his efforts, the company just wasn't gaining any traction. David had always been an optimist, but as time went on, it became harder and harder to stay positive. Every time he hit a roadblock, he tried to pivot and find a new direction for the company, but nothing seemed to work. One day, David was feeling particularly defeated. He had just come back from a meeting with a potential investor who had rejected his pitch. As he sat in his office staring at the blank computer screen, he couldn't help but feel stuck. He had no idea what to do next. That's when his friend Jason called. Jason had started his own successful business a few years ago, and David always turned to him for advice. He poured his heart out to Jason, explaining how lost he felt and how he didn't know what direction to take the company. Jason listened patiently, and then he said something that changed everything. "David, maybe it's time for a pivot. But this time, instead of pivoting the business, pivot how you treat yourself." David was taken aback. He hadn't expected Jason to suggest something like that. Jason explained that sometimes, when we're feeling stuck, it's because we're being too hard on ourselves. We're not giving ourselves the compassion and kindness we need to thrive. That got David thinking. He realized that he had been so focused on the success of the business that he had forgotten to take care of himself. He had been working around the clock, sacrificing sleep and exercise and neglecting his own needs. No wonder he was feeling stuck. David took Jason's advice to heart. He started to prioritize self-care, making sure to get enough sleep, eat healthy food, and exercise regularly. He also started to practice self-compassion, reminding himself that he was doing the best he could and that failure was just part of the process. As he started to treat himself with more kindness and compassion, something amazing happened. David found that he had more energy, more focus, and more creativity. He started to see opportunities and solutions that he had been blind to before. With this newfound clarity and confidence, David started to explore different pivot options. He did market research, reached out to potential customers, and tried out new marketing channels. It was hard work, but he did it with a sense of self-compassion and after a few months of experimenting, David found a new direction for the company. He had discovered a niche market that was underserved, and he had developed a product that was perfect for them. He had also found a new marketing channel that was highly effective, and he was starting to see real traction. Looking back, David realized that getting stuck was just part of the journey. It was a chance to pause, reflect, and pivot. And sometimes, the most important pivot of all was the one that allowed him to be kind to himself and practice self-compassion.